Hello guys and welcome back. So now from this video onwards we will start working on our player controller. For the player controller, first of all what we're gonna do is right here we will create a cube. So if you click on 3D object, then click on capsule actually, okay, not cube. When you do that, let me reset it. Where is it? Okay, right there. So I'm gonna move it to the ground. Alright, this will be our character. Okay, so we can name this as player. Okay, this player has a capsule collider, so we're gonna remove that, and instead of the capsule collider we're gonna use the character controller, because character controller comes with built-in collision. Alright, and also we will make the player movement using the character controller. Alright, once you do this, go ahead and tag this as player, and also add a layer right here by the name of player. Then click on player again and add the layer. Alright, and if you don't have a player tag, then you can just create another tag from there and then add it to the player. But the player tag comes by default in Unity, so you can just select it from the menu. So once you do this, then click on game, and in game what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a new folder by the name of scripts, and inside the scripts we're gonna create a new folder again by the name of player. And then inside the player folder we're going to create a C# script by the name of player controller. Right, then click on player and drag and drop this script right here at the top. Alright, once you do this, then let's open up the player controller script, and right here firstly we will add movement to our player. So for movement, what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a public float, but actually before creating any variable, let's at the top add a header by the name of movement and gravity. Alright, so then create a float by the name of speed, and by default set it to 5. Then after that create another float by the name of gravity, and by default the gravity value is minus 9.81, so we're gonna type that. Then after this we need a reference to the character controller, so we're gonna make this private character controller, and let's just name this as character controller as well. Then after this we will create a private vector3 by the name of velocity. Alright, and another private bool by the name of is grounded. Then once you do this, add a start method, and in the start method we're gonna set up the reference for the character controller. So I'm gonna say character controller equals to get component, and the reason we are using this get component is because character controller component and this player controller script is attached to the same player game object. Alright, so we can then just get the component simple as this. We just need to type that component name in here, which is character controller. Alright, once we have this, then let's add an update method, and in this update we gonna first of all check that if the player is grounded. Alright, so is grounded bool will be equals to character controller dot is grounded. So what this means that if the character controller of the player is touching the ground, then its is grounded boolean will be true, so our is grounded boolean right here will be set to true as well, and if it is false then it will be false. Alright, then after this we're gonna check if the player is grounded and the velocity is negative. So if the player is grounded and the velocity dot y is less than 0. It means that if it is in negative values. So if this is the case, then what we're gonna do, we're gonna reset it to a small negative value. For example, -2. So in here, just type velocity dot y equals to -2. That's it. After this, we're gonna apply the gravity. So for that, we will say velocity dot y plus equals to gravity multiply by time dot delta time. Once we do that, then let's move the character to the ground if the player is in the air. So we will say character controller dot move with the velocity, and that movement will be time dependent. So we will say time dot delta time. That's it. Alright, so once we apply gravity to our player, we also need to add movement. For movement, let's create a separate method. For example, name this as player movement. Alright, or let's just name this as handle player movement. And in this handle player movement, what we're gonna do is, first of all, we're gonna create a float by the name of current speed, and this will be equals to the speed of the player. Okay, this is the speed value right here, which is 5. Alright, once we do that, then after this we're gonna create a float and name this as move forward backward. Alright, because now we're gonna read the value from our keyboard by which we will move the player forward and backward. And as you know that we move the player forward and backward either by the up down arrow keys or the W and S keys. Alright, and if I show you in Unity, click on File, then actually click on Edit, then Project Settings, and then click on Input Manager. In Input and Manager, open up this axis, and in here, if you open up this horizontal and this vertical things, alright, in here, if you notice on the vertical, the up and down arrow keys set up and the S and W key, and on the horizontal, the left and right arrow key and the A and D key of the keyboard is set up. Alright, so we're gonna use this horizontal and vertical inputs from here in order to move the player in the environment. So we're gonna say input dot get axis. Since we are moving forward and backward, we're gonna then call the vertical input, okay, which is the up down and the W and S key of the keyboard. Alright, and then we're gonna multiply that by the current speed. Alright, once we move forward and backward, in the same way we want to move to the left and right as well. So for that, create another float by the name of move left right. This will be equals to input dot get axis. Name this as horizontal. We can't name it. This is the horizontal input which I show you, and multiply that by the current speed of the player. Alright, then after that we're gonna create a vector 3. Make sure that the V is capital. Name this as move. Then we will say transform dot right multiply by the move left right plus transform dot forward will be then multiply by the move forward backward. Alright, so we have a vector 3 in which we store the movement. Now according to this movement we want to move our player. Alright, so for that we will use the character controller dot move, and to this we're gonna pass the move, and then we're gonna make this movement time dependent, so we will say time dot delta time. That is all we have to do for the player movement. Then you can just simply copy this method name, and right after this if condition just simply paste it. Alright, that's it. Save the script, get back right here. Alright, and we can then go ahead and play the game. Alright, if you notice the camera is set up somewhere else, so we need to make this camera move from this position to right. We need to set this camera on the player head right here, for example. Alright, set it up like this. Alright, don't worry, we will be adding camera controller as well. Alright, but for now, move the camera to this position and then drag and drop this camera inside the player. Alright, then play the game again. When you play it, here it is. As you can see, we can move the player. You can increase or decrease the movement speed according to your own liking. For example, I will make this 3 or 4. That's it. Okay. As you can see, the player moved to the left and right, and also backward and forward. Alright, but for now the player can't look anywhere else using our mouse. But don't worry, we will be adding camera movement as well. For now we are just focused on the player movement. And also you guys will be thinking that this game is for mobile phones, then why we are adding the inputs for the PC. As you saw in the introductory video, this game can be played both on mobile devices and on PC, just like the granny game. Alright, so first of all, we're gonna make this whole game using our mouse and keyboard, and then at the end we're gonna convert all of this to the mobile phone. Alright, we're gonna convert our project to mobile phone, and also we're gonna add the mobile inputs as well. So now with this done, let's end this video right here.